Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Siouxland Sports Insider High School Football Podcast. We are talking dome action this whole week. It doesn't matter if it's South Dakota or Iowa. All the teams that we are covering will be at the dome. Marty, it's crazy to think about, but this time of year, we are in this week, 1 week away from football being done in the state of South Dakota, and 2 weeks away from football being done in the state of Iowa. And I don't want it to end. I know it has to end. I don't want it to end.
Yeah.
But we were just talking before we got started here. What a great year of football in the area, all the way from 5A all the way down to 8-man. The region of Sioux City put on for the media outlets that followed it, for the news stations, everything. There was great football week in and week out. And I just like to take a step back and applaud these high
Yeah.
school kids because this has been my favorite year to cover so far. And we still got 2 weeks left to go, but it's been by far head over heels what I could have ever expected for a football season.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think it's been my favorite to cover so far. And, there's just a lot of teams and a lot of talent around here. And one thing I will mention is the state of the western side of the state has been slow to take to 7-on-7 and all that. And I think that's really the growth in that aspect has really helped kind of connect the dots from spring, the spring season to the start of fall camp. So at least, you've got your linemen, everybody out working out and, in the weight room and stuff, but actually your skill guys are really developing through the opportunities that they have to play with 7-on-7 over the winter months. And I think that's bared a lot of fruit around here. I mean, you look at East, Cal Jepson throwing the ball around, Isaiah Grant. I mean, there's many examples of kids being able to take advantage of that. Caden Lester's had a great year at Heelan, and the list goes on and on. Not every team's the same. Like Sergeant Bluff, they're going to grind it out. But no, this has been my favorite to cover, Mitch.
Yeah, it's been awesome, and we'll start right away. Games are being played on Wednesday. We'll be down there Wednesday just to take in some action, but our real meat and potatoes start on Thursday, and that starts with MMCRU West Sioux. West Sioux comes into the contest with a 10-1 record. Their only loss just a few weeks back against this MMCRU team in a game that I've thought and you thought was going to be very high scoring, but ended up being what the last couple primetime games in the NFL have been. Kind of snooze fest.
Yeah.
Defensive heavy games. 14-7 was the final. MMCRU won. You come into this game, Marty, and I love both quarterbacks. Blake Wiggins has had an outstanding senior year. Eli Harpinaugh on his junior year for MMCRU has done a great job. 24 touchdowns through the air for Harpinaugh, 23 through the air for Wiggins. Wiggins has ran 4 more in on the ground, 13-9. Braylon Lopez for West Sioux is that 1-2 punch. But MMCRU kind of hits you with more than just one punches. And they did it last week, and normally it's those subtle jabs. And then by the time you get to the fourth quarter, it's like the late rounds. Here, all of a sudden you take one big body blow and you go down. They came out and they just went big right hook, solid left to Woodbury Central, and they knocked him out in like the first round. And that's the most dominant I've seen MMCRU play all year.
Uh-huh.
And for them to do it like as a precursor of what can happen at the Dome, I think if you're West, you're like, okay, let's hope they play kind of sloppy like they did, and let's hope our defense is good to go, because if not, we could see another game like that happen, because when they're working on all cylinders, they have the Schmillen brothers that are going and playing good ball, Michael and John. Mulder, obviously, again, running the football. Gage Johnson does a really good job offensively and defensively. This MMCRU team, there's a reason that they're ranked number 1 in the power rankings, because they are that good. But if there's any team that from around here that's familiar with them and has seen them and was just a play away from beating them, it is West Sioux. So West Sioux, I think you have to play solid defensively. They've had a really good defense all year. I think a lot of people focus on the offense more just because it is very flashy with Wiggins and the way that this offense has always been ran for the last 15 to 20 years. But the defense has been a real solid point for them. They have to, and I say have to play solid defense come Thursday, or it'll be a one and done trip for them.
Yeah, I like the explosiveness of MMCRU. I like their experience, and they have a lot of weapons on offense. And I think, in my opinion, I think that they may make 1 or 2 more plays than West Sioux. And I kind of like MMCRU to come out on top of this game. But great seasons by both teams, and looking forward to watching the matchup.
Yeah, it'll be a 1 o'clock kick. on Thursday, barring anything happening prior to that. I know obviously sometimes state games get moved back just
Yeah.
because game goes in overtime, different things like that. They can't control everything. They
Right.
can't control, however, the weather,
Yeah.
and it's beautiful and a
Yeah.
perfect 72 degrees inside the dome every single year. So we'll go from 1 o'clock to the game that starts after that and moves from a small schools up to all the way to 4A. 4A starts with Sergeant Bluff and Pella on Thursday as well. 4 o'clock kick for that one. This one, if you like running backs and you like
Yeah.
the ground and pound game, you're going to love this game. If you like to see an air raid offense, go check out the other place or something. Go do
Yeah.
something in this time slot because, I mean, Michael Manning has done a really good job passing the ball for Pella. He's over 70% completion with 1,300 yards and 16 touchdowns. But when you look at these two running backs, and I'm talking about Ross for Sergeant Bluff, who's kind of the up and comer junior that came out of the woodworks when Houston got hurt. Now Houston's back, surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
And then Emmanuel Dyers on the Pella side, who has ran for 1,500 yards and 11 touchdowns, and he's also a really good receiving back out of the backfield. Has almost 400 yards receiving and 4 touchdowns. If you break it up, Marty, and I do because I'm a really big analytics guy. Both teams coming at 10-1. Both
Yep.
teams losses. I think if they replay those games, have a chance to win. But that's hearsay. If we go off of rushing yards per carry and off of 10 attempts. So like if your quarterback runs it 4 times, I'm not going to count that because it's a kind of a fluke thing. He doesn't always run it. So we'll
Right.
go with sample size of 10 rushing attempts or
Mhm.
more. Pella's has 4 guys that have ran the ball for 10 or more attempts and a 4.75 yard average, which is very good. You run it twice,
Yeah.
you almost have a first down.
Yeah.
Sergeant Bluff has 10 guys that have ran the ball 10 times or more,
Right.
and their average is 7.21.
Yeah. Let's.
Beckett Varas, every time he touches the ball, 10 yards.
Yep. Yep.
Every single time he touches the ball, 10-yard average per carry. One of every 10 times he touches the ball, he's scoring 6 points.
Yeah.
This offense has just been lethal
Yeah.
this year. After their first hiccup against Thielen, the first game of the year,
Mm.
it almost like ignited a switch in them, and they're like, "We're never going to play like that again. Let's turn this thing into a complete 180 and show the
Mhm.
state what we have." I think North Pole came into that game, and I don't know if that's what they thought was going to happen when they came off the bus, but
Mhm.
Sergeant Bluff went, "Hey, you might want to just keep that bus running because it's going to
Yeah.
be quick. We're going to
I
make
did.
quick work of you. 55-15, send them back on their way." That's the defending state champs in
Yeah.
4A. Like, yes, they lose some seniors just like every other class does. Sergeant Bluff lost some seniors too.
Yeah.
But this is a team that went from 3A to 4A. And, us sitting around here, I'm a huge Sergeant Bluff homer, but I was still kind of skeptical. That's a big jump. You're playing with the
It
big
is.
boys of big boys
Yeah.
now. Like we play it. I mean, Sergeant Bluff will always play in a 3/5A schedule,
Mhm.
but it never had to go against those teams in district play or semifinal play. And now you're going up against all those teams night in and night out. And for them to have a 10-1 record, I think it speaks to the volumes of the coaching staff. I think it speaks to the volumes of the players.
Mhm.
These seniors got to play another team we're going to talk about here in a little bit, Waller Catholic, and
Mhm.
gave them the best game they had all season. Lost by 1 point in the semifinal rounds last year in 3A, and now have a chance to be a game away from going to the championship in 4A. So I
Right.
think it really speaks to the culture there, what they built, their identity, sticking to it. Hard-nosed defensive team, solid defensively, don't make mistakes. They limit big plays, which is huge. If you're Pella, I think you have to go on the other side, and Emmanuel Dyer's going to have a huge game.
Yeah.
He's going to have a huge game out of being the receiving back that he is, off play actions. And then Manning, when he throws the ball, is going to have to be like a Peyton Manning or an Eli Manning. He's going
Mhm.
to have to make things happen
Yeah.
when he steps back to pass. Can't turn the ball over against a Sergeant Bluff team because it's like blood in the water with a shark. And once they smell it, it's over for you.
Yeah.
But I like Sergeant Bluff in this game just because I want obviously all the local teams to do well. And I just think that the mold that they have is set up for success so well that until I know there's a team that can stop them, maybe Xavier, I don't know if they lose.
Yeah. I agree. That's a good observation by you, Mitch. And for me, we've handed a lot of compliments out to the stable running backs that they have, but for me, the group that's really performed well all season long is the offensive line. You got to have when you're not throwing the ball like Sergeant Bluff does, the run's coming, and you can't stop it. So, I mean, credit those guys up front blocking. They've progressively gotten better as the season's moved along, and the rushing numbers reflect their success. So, I want to make sure and mention them. And the Sergeant Bluff defense has really performed well all season. Xavier Jones, defensive end, outside linebacker, middle linebacker. He's really had a hell of a junior season. And you got Joey Hardy there, Jervik on the back end. So they got a talented team. I think if they just go play their game, they'll take care of business.
Yeah, it should be a good one there. And we'll go from Thursday to Friday. No area teams playing in Friday at the Dome but there is a game
Mm-hmm.
being held Friday at the Dome in Vermilion as Elk Point Jefferson going for their second ever state title. They're 11-0, facing the number 2 team in Class 11B, St. Thomas More, who is also sitting at 11-0. And these two teams pretty similar, Marty. Elk Point Jefferson averages 44 points a game. St. Thomas More 42. Elk Point Jefferson gives up 2 touchdowns. St. Thomas More gives up literally a bag of chips. 4.6
Yeah.
points per game. Their defense is stout. EPJ is coming off of a game where they gave up 36 to Dual and won that in a nail biter, basically a goal line stand on 4th down. And they won that one 43-36. I think the defense is going to have to be a little bit better and fundamentally sound, and not just playing for 2 or 3 downs. I mean, this is a team where it's win and you host a trophy and lose, and there's no do-overs. And I think this team is ready for it. I think the fact that they have handled adversity and still won the game speaks volumes to the way that this team is built. You know, we're starting to finally get guys. They're starting to get guys back healthy on both sides of the ball. I saw, Luke Schmitz played a little bit offensively last week too. I mean, he's probably not going to be 100% good to go, but even him at 80% is better than some
Right.
kids at 100.
Yeah.
So just having all of your guys available, and they're going to go all out for this one because, a lot of these seniors will graduate and they want to go out on top. Should be a really good one. The only thing that worries me about St. Thomas More, and we talked about it a little bit before, their strength of schedule is not good.
Yeah.
They don't play. They didn't play a Wagner. They didn't play a Parker. They didn't play a winner team. Like the best team they played was 5-5, and that was Sioux Valley or Mount Vernon Plankton, and they played them twice. And so did Elk Point Jefferson and beat them by 18-35. So I'm not saying that it's their stats are because they play a weaker schedule, because who knows if they could have probably done that and beat Winter by the same margin that they're beating some other schools.
Yeah.
But I just when I'm looking at the record, I go, okay, it's 11-0, but is an 11-0 off of a, where's your SOS? Where's your strength of schedule sitting?
Yeah.
Are you at a higher strength of schedule, or are you kind of like, packing these games with some weaker non-conference foes? I don't know.
Could have masqueraded behind that schedule all season long. We'll find out.
Very true. And I will tell you one thing, the drive from whether you live in Jefferson, Elk Point, or the surrounding areas, the drive up to Vermilion is not even 30 minutes.
Yeah.
That entire side of the stands is going to be floor to ceiling in blue.
Yeah.
And it has been every time they've made it. And I think that's a huge lift for the EPJ players, because it's going to feel like almost bigger than a home game.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you're only used to having fans on one side of the stands anyways, and they fit as many butts and seats as they can.
Yeah.
But now you're going to get everyone out of the woodworks to come support you. So should be a really good one. That one's at 2:00 on Friday. Again, I'm not going to give a score prediction yet. We'll do that on our previews.
Yep.
But I do like Elk Point Jefferson to win this game and get their second win. It'd be a good story for this group. We talked about before, Coach Terry didn't think that they were going to be to this level quite yet. He thought it'd be another year or two before they got back to the Dome and having a chance to hoist a trophy. It's good for him, his coaching staff, good for those players, and just good for the community. I mean, this community, like, a lot of these kids have been together for forever. It's one of those small towns that you really root for. So it'd be really nice to see them win. But that game on Friday, if you're not watching any big games, 5A wise down in Cedar Falls, make the trip up to the Dakota Dome. It'll be a nice little short drive for us fans here in Siouxland, a lot shorter than the drive all the way across the state to you and I. But check out that game on Friday. If not, I believe they have it streamed on YouTube as well too, so make sure you check that out as well. But should be a really good one. Marty, any last points for EPJ St. Thomas More?
I like the fact that the kids that are now seniors were sophomores on the team that won state. So they've been there, seen what has to happen in order to capture a title. And I just think the staff just experience in a playoff atmosphere like that will be advantageous to Elk Point Jefferson.
Should be a great one. We'll talk about a team that has recently won a state title, and we talked about them earlier that played Sergeant Bluff Luton. It is the 3A matchup on Saturday at 4 p.m. Waller Catholic and Bishop Heelan. Both teams come into the contest at 9-2. Heelan, I believe, is the higher seed at the
Yes.
2 seed. Waller Catholic got the 3 seed, and I believe Solon is the number 1 seed in 3A. This game, interesting to me, just mainly on the effects of Waller Catholic has a really good quarterback who is a dual threat option. Got 600 yards on the ground and 12 touchdowns, and he's also got 12 touchdowns through the air with 1,400 yards. So 2,000 yards passing and running. They do a really sound job defensively.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be JP Elbert on Waller Catholic side versus, I think, the rushing attack of Bishop Heelan. And that's Cason Thomas, Favors, and Conley.
Yeah.
I think, although you look at the stats and it's like, oh yeah, well, Conley has -6 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. He must only take off when he needs to and then kneel the clock out. No, there have been some times where he's gotten sacked or had some negative rushes, but when a play breaks down, we saw Noah's development from when he was at
Yeah.
North till
Yeah.
now. Now, when he was at North, he tried to probably force that ball into a double
Yeah.
coverage down the field. Like he can
You know,
get the ball there, but to force it into harm's way, he doesn't do that anymore. He tucks it. He's smart with the football.
yeah.
He runs it, gets extra yards, and I think that's going to be the biggest thing.
Yeah. You hear coaches talk about you can't go broke taking a profit. When normally
Yes.
previously he would have forced it, he'll tuck it and get 3, 4, 5 yards, and that moves the chains. I mean, it makes the job easier for the offensive coordinator when you continue to stay on schedule offensively. So yeah, I've been impressed with his development and this whole team. I mean, John LaFleur does an excellent job at Elon. Very good at what he does, and he's got an outstanding staff too. So I'm looking forward to this ball game. Be a good one.
Should be a great one too. And I think both teams defensively are freaking juggernauts. Holy
Yeah.
cow.
Yep.
Noah Kraft on the Waller Catholic side is senior, 3 interceptions, 5 sacks, 100 total tackles. We have like 3 or 4 leading tacklers for Heelan. We talk about harping on a lot. Matt Meyer, I think, is their technical leader in
Yeah,
tackles
he's had a
with
great season.
66.
Yeah. Yep.
A couple sacks, a fumble recoveries, and interception. Grant Whitcomb almost had another pick last week. He's always a dangerous guy to throw at. Then you obviously have Cason Thomas coming off the
Yeah.
edge. And I think they've done a really good job of, we talked about last year and going into this year, is not necessarily, and I don't want to say load management because I feel like that's a word that gets overused in like the NBA and stuff like that,
Yeah.
but almost like just limiting different snaps for Cason so he is good to go in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Because we know, John knows, the offense and defensive
Yeah.
coordinators know how
Yeah.
big of an impact he can be when he's
Yep.
fully ready to go. And when you just let it loose at the end there, like the
Mhm.
Sergeant Bluff game, Sergeant
Yeah.
Bluff's driving to go tie the ball game. Cason's rested, ready to go. What do? Like 3 or 4 straight rushes, and he just blew the tackle
Yeah.
off the line of scrimmage. Didn't matter if there was a chip or not. Got right to the quarterback. Forced
Yep.
pressure.
Yeah.
Forced an incompletion. Like when he is healthy and good to go on the defensive side,
Uh-huh.
and I know how good he is on the offensive side of the ball. He is a matchup nightmare. I don't care who you
Yeah.
put against him. If
Yep.
you chip someone, and that's
Mhm.
the other problem is they have other guys. It's not just one guy on defense. They have other guys that are probably blitzing. Harpenoff, Meyer.
Mhm.
They have their safety and Lester who can play back. They have Prince on one corner and Whitcomb on the other. They're solid all the way through. Their
Yeah.
other defensive linemen are really good as
Yep.
well. They're swing guys. Offensive and
Yeah.
defensive linemen are really good. It's just a really sound defensive team to where they're not, if they don't make mistakes on offense, it's extremely hard to beat this team
Yeah.
because they're going to force you to make a mistake when they're on the
Yeah.
defensive side of the
Yeah. Agree. And I recall today, I went back and looked, and I actually sent out a tweet a couple years ago when they were at the Dome, Heelan and Cason Thomas prowess began on the defensive side of the ball, and I tweeted out and said, "I'm watching a Division I prospect here." That's how much he stood out with his play as just a sophomore. So, it's been great to see his dreams come true with scholarship offers and things like that, and good kid, good family, and just happy for them all the way around.
Should be a great one there. I'm not gonna give the score, but I do like Heelan knocking off the defending champs as well
I do as
and
well.
getting a victory. And we'll see what happens, title games with all these teams. I'd
Yeah,
love to see them all advance, but it
yeah,
should be a action-packed couple days. I would say weekend, but it's more from
yeah,
Wednesday on. But you should be an action-packed couple weekends, and as always, we'd like to thank our sponsors who make this at all possible. Our
yeah,
main sponsor, Jersey Mike Subs of Sioux City.
yeah,
And also, we'll be checking them out next week when we go up to Cedar Falls, see what they're all
yeah,
about up there as well.
yeah.
Game Day Men's Health from the Dunes,
Yep.
and obviously the Dons in South Sioux City and Sioux City.
Mhm.
Well, Marty, by the time that this podcast goes up and is live,
Yep.
we will probably already be making our way out to Cedar Falls to
Yep.
get our first couple games in. Best of luck to all of our
Yeah,
local
all the
teams that are
area
playing
teams.
this week. And we will see you next week for championship week of Dome action. Take care. Everyone that's traveling over to Cedar Falls, safe travels.
Drive safe.
Love to talk to you. Love to talk to you when we're out there. No matter what team you're supporting. And then as always, just support Siouxland, man. I mean, this is like we talked about. This has just been a great year for the Siouxland athletes. I don't care if you're, a Sergeant Bluff fan. Like when you're down there, cheer for MMCRU or West Sioux. Cheer for Heelan. Like
Yeah,
I know you guys beef throughout the year, but nothing helps your school and these other schools more than bringing more championships to the west side of the state. Like
agreed.
there's so many times, and even when I went to school, and even probably back, Marty, when you went to school up in North,
Mhm.
there was so much of the central and east side of the state that gets looked at. We want all the championships.
Yeah.
We want the championships from basketball,
Mhm.
baseball, football, anything that we can get our hands on. I don't
Mhm.
care if it's Heelan winning 15 straight titles.
Yeah,
If it's on our side, hey, we have a team that's legit
yeah.
that you need to look at. And there's some other
Mhm.
teams that if you knock them off, that hey, you need to look at those teams too. So just I'm a huge Sioux City fan, or
Yeah,
Siouxland fan
yeah,
this weekend and next weekend. And, I'd love nothing more than to see the Siouxland teams walk back with what I think
yeah.
can be, is it 5 trophies? Be five
I believe
trophies in
so, yeah.
total,
Yeah, yeah.
which would be just incredible. That would just it put an absolute bow on what has been an awesome football season. But yeah, travel safe if you're heading out to Cedar Falls or to Vermilion. We will see you guys at those games, and we will see you next time for championship week. Have a safe and awesome trip, guys. See you next time.
Bye-bye, guys.